Local feedlot owners speak out about a stinky situation. It's not their fault, and they don't want to be lumped in with those responsible. Plus, Nebraska is poised to take advantage of trade with Cuba. And we meet a young man with a passion to educate others about agriculture. Grow starts now. Thank you for joining us here on NTV's Grow. The ag industry is watching developments with Cuba closely in hopes more trade opportunities will open up. NTV's Megan Johnson talked with local leaders and has more.
Even with the embargo, the U.S. has allowed some ag trade with Cuba since 2001. But commodity officials say financial restrictions have limited their ability to compete there, something they hope changes now. Nebraska ag leaders are echoing national groups like the American Farm Bureau in saying a better relationship with Cuba is a good thing.
Normalizing relations with Cuba opens a market that has been closed since before my lifetime, 50 years in a market that's 90 miles off of our border, closer than we are standing here in Hastings than it is to drive to Lincoln.
A trade mission led by Governor Dave Heineman in 2005 ended in a $30 million ag export deal between Nebraska and Cuba. But the $350 million in exports the National Corn Growers Association says the U.S. sent to Cuba last year alone suggests there's more to be had.
It was significant in the fact that we did develop relationships, but in the grand scheme of things, it was minor. But those relationships are what's important in international trade.
That could give Nebraska a leg up if restrictions ease or Congress votes to lift the embargo.
I'm sure it'll be a slow process, and there's still some political wrangling that's coming about with this announcement, but I would expect that to move forward.
Though Ron Pavelka is chair of the soybean board, he says trade with Cuba would be good for all commodities. That 2005 deal involved both meat products, grains, and livestock feed.
Beef prices remain high, but it doesn't appear to be making much of a difference to consumers. Around the world and around the country, demand for meat remains strong. Despite the higher prices, it appears people still want to put beef and pork on the dinner table.
Whether we look domestically or globally, protein demand is still very strong. And if we look at pork and beef demand, they both continue to be strong even as prices continue to rise. One thing on the beef side, I think, they can switch a little bit from, the high-end steaks to some of the lower-end meats, maybe, and cut back a little bit on price. And years ago, beef was more, we ate that a lot more throughout the week, so it was easier to switch away from that beef product. But when you're talking only eating it once or twice a week, some of those consumers are less likely to move away and continue to go ahead and spend for that week.
The drought of 2012 is a factor in beef prices. Many producers sent cattle to slaughter and reduce the size of their herds because of high feed cost. Cattle production numbers are expected to rise slightly, which may help meat prices in the store come down as well. Residents raise a stink about manure in rural Hall County. Officials are trying to clear the air and let the public know local cattle producers are not to blame. NTV's Grow co-host Steve White explains where this comes from.
I had 6 dead cattle in front of my house. That's what it smells like.
Those are the comments Steve Shupin has been getting from neighbors who say dozens of loads of manure are piling up near Doniphan, and is getting resolved only after Shupin says he put a lot of pressure on the company hauling the stuff.
Every time we issue a permit, which hasn't been very often, but we did this fall, I pay really close attention to it.
It's a material known as paunch manure, stomach contents from cattle slaughtered at the JBS packing plant. Another company hauls it away and applies it to farm fields. But those piles have apparently gotten so bad, Shupin has suggested banning the practice. Now, it's not the same as manure from feedlots. Just the same, cattle feeders call it a slippery slope that could negatively affect them.
I hate it in the worst way to see Hall County take a stance that we forbid any of this product from being dispensed within the boundaries of this county.
And we strive, I know Baxter's do too, to do the best job we can, become the less nuisance that we can be.
County board members tell cattle feeders they appreciate them for doing things the right way and have no intent to regulate their manure.
So we want to make sure that we protect our cattle feeders.
Board members say they're not sure what the answer is, but if raising a stink clears the air, they say it's a good start.
We reached out to the company that hauls the paunch manure, but did not hear back. Merritt County said it has concerns with the same company and tells them the manure has to be applied in a timely way or they will face consequences. The state of Kansas is creating a new investigative unit to fight an increase in cattle theft. The Kansas Attorney General and the Kansas Department of Agriculture announced a joint agreement to form a new livestock brand investigation unit. The unit will help local law enforcement agencies investigate suspected cattle rustling. The Attorney General said the new unit will combine the law enforcement with the Livestock Investigations Authority. Cargill makes a $9 million expansion in Hartwell, and NTV's John Jankowski has more.
Plant manager Rachel Hecht looks at the upcoming additions for the Hartwell Cargill site. The new liquid blend plant allows a carrier to get water, fertilizer, and chemistry all in one stop. Hecht says this will help farmers get definite loads.
If we need exactly 76 pounds of N, we're going to get exactly 76 pounds of N.
The product from the liquid blend machine saves a step for farmers. They don't have to mix it in the field. Farmers will be able to buy wheat, corn, and soybean seed in bulk. Before, the closest seed shed was 60 miles west in Oxford.
Whenever they want to come in early mornings, late nights to pick up their fertilizer, their chemical, they have the ability to do that. So that makes it a lot more efficient and useful for the farmers to have that there for them.
Hecht says the expansion will improve the safety for workers and the customers.
Our goal is to continue to improve, and this will allow our employees a safer work environment and the farmers a safer environment when they come on site.
A Minden farmer has been named chairman of the Nebraska Corn Growers. Joel Grams will serve as president. The Corn Growers Association handed out as well the highest honor, the Golden Ear Award, presented to UNL Extension in appreciation of 100 years of service to Nebraska. No fried Oreos or steak on a stick, but you can get a taste of the state fair all year long. Raising Nebraska has been named Best Ag Exhibit in the nation, and it wasn't even complete by this year's fair. It's open all year long, and they're adding more interactive exhibits to teach people about agriculture, and that's what data shows people want.
People were so excited and wanting to see more and ready to come back. And now we're just waiting to see how we can build that out. We've got next steps ready to go, getting school groups in to take a look at the website, because we now have lesson plans that students are going to be using throughout the year. So we're gunning up for 2015.
They've got a couple of events over the holidays just for educators, classroom teachers, after-school program leaders, and homeschool parents. They're invited to check out some of the field trip possibilities where kids can learn from university educators on a hands-on setting as well. Now, Governor is ranking in honors as it prepares to return to civilian life. The Nebraska National Guard awarded Heinemann with the State Legion of Merit Medal for being the group's longest-serving wartime commander-in-chief. While in office, he's helped raise the Guard's profile, and in 2012, it was added to the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Today also marks Heinemann's final statewide call-in radio show, the first of its kind in the U.S., and the longest-running program hosted by a sitting governor. We talk about feeding the world. Well, later on here in the show, we're going to see how one farm youth learned firsthand how to do it. Stay with us.